Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everybody the March 5th, 2024 Ramsey County Commission meeting. First item on our agenda would be the approval of the minutes from the February 20th meeting.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second. Motion, we have a second to approve the minutes as submitted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the bills. Everybody had an opportunity to look at the bills.
I would move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the bills as submitted. Roll call, please.
Gessner.
Aye.
Wilhelm.
Aye.
Otis.
Aye.
Aye. Bills are paid. Financial reports. Anything jump out at anybody? Candy, is there anything that you'd like to point out to the commission?
Not at this time.
Okay.
I'll move to approve.
Second. Motion and a second that we go ahead and approve the financials as submitted. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Otis.
Aye.
Wilhelmy.
Aye.
Gessner.
Aye.
Aye. Financials are approved. Treasurer's checks.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the treasurer's checks. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Wilhelmy.
Aye.
Otis.
Aye.
Gessner.
Aye.
Aye. Treasurer's checks are approved. Approval of the agenda. Any additions to the agenda?
Motion
Move
to
to approve.
Motion and a second to approve. Take your pick. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Before we jump into the agenda, I would like to acknowledge and congratulate the Devils Lake Firebirds girls basketball team on winning a state championship over the weekend. Our very own district public health nurse, Wendy Freilich's daughter, Jaden, plays for that team, and captain of the Devils Lake Rural Fire Department, Justin Klein, is their head coach. Congratulations, Coach Klein, Jaden Freilich, and all the Devils Lake Firebird girls basketball team on bringing home the state championship. Congratulations. With that, Mr. Gunderson, here for some carpets. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, push the little guy with the right in front.
There you go. Thank you.
From Thompson's, we got an estimate of $46.40. We're going to put carpet tile up in the front here and regular tile. Replace this tile with new tile in the back where the public sits. Like I said, $46.40 from Thompson's, and from Lamont's the amount is $66.30. So, and they're all bidding on the same thing. So
All apples to apples, all that kind of good
Yep.
stuff.
yeah,
Okay. Recommendations from the commission. Motion to approve.
I'll move to approve the bid from Thompson's.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and approve the bid from Thompson's for the carpeting and the tile replacement in the commission room. Further discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Roger.
Yep.
Mr. Fieldson. Good morning. Busy couple days for you guys.
Yes, another one coming Wednesday, tomorrow, so.
Yes.
Okay, starting out, leading edge equipment, got our snow blower for our skid steer that we had ordered. The invoice for the blower is 15,200, which is exactly what they quoted us, so. Entertain a motion to pay for the leading edge equipment for the attachment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and pay leading edge equipment for the snow blower attachment. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Volk,
Aye.
Otis,
Aye.
Gessner,
Aye.
Wilhelmie,
Aye. Motion passes.
The next item, KLJ Engineering has an invoice for the design work that they're doing on Ramsey County 3, our thin lift overlay project scheduled for this summer. That invoice is for $6,311.20. I'd like to entertain a motion to pay KLJ Engineering.
I would so move.
Second.
Motion and a second to go ahead and pay KLJ Engineering for the work doing on Ramsey County 3. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Gessner,
Aye.
Wilhelmie.
Aye.
Otis,
Aye.
Volk,
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, end of this month, we're getting ready to do our annual service work on the 6 motor graders. Turns out that this is the year they're all gonna need oil replacement in all the reservoirs, and all new filters. So for the oil, filters, and the sample bottles, it's gonna be $13,821.91. That's all synthetic oil nowadays. That's why the price is so high on the oil. The tandems themselves. A set of tandems takes a 55-gallon drum, so the costs start escalating fast. So I guess I did entertain a motion to go ahead and order those supplies for the service.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and order the supplies for the service work on the graders. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Summer blading rates.
Yes, and I sent a spreadsheet of the costs that we had involved. Last summer, we weren't able to do much blading in April or the end of October, so our revenues were down and our dollars that we spent blading roads is down also. The hourly rate pretty much stayed the same. I'm predicting that they'll stay the same for this year also, the hourly rates. Mostly due to people retiring or quitting and then rehiring new folks back at a lesser rate. So that really cuts down on our hourly rate. But you can see that on the very bottom line, it cost us $541.29 to actually blade each mile. And our contracts for last year were $310 a mile or $145 per hour. And I guess my suggestion would be to leave that the same for this year, just because of our reduced costs. Wages mostly. Any questions? It's a lot to look at.
So we're within $2 an hour of our actual costs. The way I read that, right? So
No,
just shy
we're-
of $147 an hour. Is our
right,
cost.
for hourly rates, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Kevin, for the counties that have that did pay up early, do they get reimbursed or you just move
We
that
did.
over to the next year?
No, we did credit their accounts. We didn't actually give them the money back. It's just a credit on their account, and then they buy culverts, signs, whatever. They can use it for blading next year, and they use up the credit that way. So yeah, we went back and looked at every single mile and see how many times it got bladed, and then credit them everybody for what didn't get done. And that was because of the April storm and October storm. Some like in Starkweather, we were short help up there, so that was also part of it. Yeah, I guess we do supplement quite a bit of the per mile rates at $541 our costs, and we're charging back 310. So I mean, everybody understands that we're supplementing, but our hourly rates, the only time we use our hourly rates is for snow removal. We don't use them for blading or private. We do bump up the hourly rate $5 an hour for private work. Government work, cities, towns, townships, we use $145 an hour for government. The only time we're really doing private is like if we're doing a plowing a driveway or maybe blading a driveway. Not very often.
Looking for a motion.
So you're looking for a motion to leave the rates the same?
Correct.
I would so move to do that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to set the summer blading rates for the same as last year.
So just to refresh, it's $310 per mile, $145 an hour for government, and $150 per hour for private. Is what it was last year.
Okay. So everybody's okay with the recommendations from Kevin, and the motion on the table is to leave the rates as they were last year. And as Kevin indicated, 310 per mile, 145 per hour for government, 150 for private. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, just a couple of updates. Load limits are not in effect in Ramsey yet, but south of Carrington they're in effect, and west of Rugby they're in effect. So it's getting closer. The weather probably set it back a little bit again now, but next week it's supposed to start warming up again. So might be one of our earliest years. And also the auction sale on the equipment we have out there that we're selling ends on Thursday evening. It's actually doing pretty well on the auction sites. So if you know of anybody that's interested, remind them that the sale is getting ready to end. That's all I have. If you have anything for me,
You got bids on everything?
we got bids on everything. Good bids, actually. It's doing quite well. I'm surprised.
Anything else?
All right. Thank you.
No, thank you. Kevin, would you mind? Well,
I'll do it.
you, okay, thank you. Grab the water board. Just waiting for Dwayne Ash, Ramsey County Water Resource District Chairman, come in and give us an update. Kevin, you mind getting the microphone, making sure that it's on for him? Thank you. I know their ballots had gone out for Ramsey 10 last week, and they have a public hearing on that coming up on April 2nd up in Edmore. That's a stretch from Dry Lake all the way through the Edmore system, all the way up into Cavalier County. And Dwayne can give us some more information on that. We're just, I just mentioned your Ramsey County 10 project. That ballots had gone out last week.
Yes, sir.
Public hearings April 2nd up in Edmore.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the ballots have to be returned in the office here by the close on May 17th.
And they go to the auditor's office.
They go to the auditor's office and then we'll count them out after that day. And the only other thing that really is important, we got the advisory group or advisory members from the Hamer Sullivan and the Starkweather Coolies coming in this morning to discuss with us if there's any work that needs to be done on any of the drains in the area, in the system this spring or summer, so we can allocate money for it. Is there anything else I can help you with?
I think the Ramsey County 10 information is on your page on the county's website.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All the maps and all the information of what land is going to be. It's very informative. So all the landowners should have everything laid out in front of them real nice this year. So if they got any questions, they can go on there and look and come up with it.
It's a big project. It's over 60 miles.
Yes, over 66.
Yep. So,
So let's hope it goes through and we can get going on it.
yeah. So, anything else, Dwayne?
No, sir.
Anything else for Dwayne?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for your time. Sheriff Lang, come on down. Always wanted to do that. My inner Bob Barker.
I have obtained 3 different quotes for a cage for the canine. We initially anticipated that we would try to do this ourselves, and after we looked at it, the cage doesn't seem really complicated, but the way the radios were mounted in this car, they're going to have to do a lot of moving of the radio equipment. And that's probably a little bit over my head. So, so I reached out to Mid-States, who usually does all the installations on our cars. And they gave me a bid of $11,472.84. Then I reached out to Guardian Fleet. They're out of Clear Lake, Minnesota. And they came in at $11,874.32. So I did a little bit more research, and I come across a company called Third Watch Communications out of Minot. So I sent them the specs that the other two would give quotes on. They came back with a quote of $8,862.79. The only difference is the bailout system and the monitoring of the air and stuff inside the vehicles and how it warns the officer if it's too hot or too cold. I asked them to update it to the Ace K9 Pro system that we had on the other ones. He hasn't got back to me, but looking at the estimates from the other companies, that system seems to be a little bit cheaper. So the Third Watch company out of Minot, he right now is doing everything on remote location because the building he was in got sold out from underneath him, was my understanding. So I'd have to find a spot here in town for him to come and do it. So I guess I'm looking for a little direction. The numbers for the cage and the equipment that would be installed is the same numbers pretty close to the same numbers I presented to the commission when we purchased the dog. It's just the amount of labor that is really pushed it over the edge. And then when you're looking at $4,200 labor, I thought that was a little steep, but
I think they have something like 53 hours of labor.
right.
So it's obviously a time consuming endeavor.
All the little pieces putting the cage together. We looked at YouTube on how to do it, and we were like, well, it'll take us some time. We could do it, but I'd have to pull a unit off the road for at least 2 weeks and us trying to do it. And
has any of them given you an indication on timing?
Guardian can't get us until November, December. That's how booked out they are. Midwest, as soon as they get it in, they said they could probably get us in. So it's just a matter how long it takes to get the cage. And same with Third Watch.
Well, I think we can eliminate one from the running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way we can wait any longer that far out.
What year Durango is this going into?
It's going to be going into a 2020. So we'll probably get another two years out of that car.
What's the likelihood any of this stuff is going to be reusable in its replacement? I'm guessing the cages are kind of precision fit in there, I would guess.
Well, they leave some room to manipulate them. They got the plexiglass so they can slide in and out and around. That was one thing where we're concerned when we ordered these new cars. We're told the interior changed a little bit. And talking with these guys, they said the cages will fit. They said there wasn't that much of a change, so they weren't concerned about it. The only concern I got is Dodge is talking about not doing or manufacturing Durangos next year, but then picking them back up the following year. So if they do away with the Durangos, we're going to be hurting because none of our cages will fit in any of the other cars. So because we pretty much run all Durangos except for the 2 pickups, 3 pickups.
What's the rotation on the vehicles?
We're getting about 4 to 5 years out of a vehicle if we're lucky. We got some now that are pushing. We still got some 18s and 19s we've been hanging on. But we're running into that 150,000. They're starting to nickel and dime.
Well, and that's kind of why I'm wondering if we shouldn't put this in a newer vehicle. And, if it's a 2020 now and we're already into 2024, we're looking at rotating that out probably within the next year or two. And then we're back to switching out vehicles again for the canine. Would it be more prudent to go with a newer vehicle and hopefully get the life expectancy or the service expectancy out of the canine for that time period? Or
And that's an option I looked at too, is I could probably, the ones we just got last year, I could probably outfit him in one of those. And by the time that car is ready to cycle out, we'll be well into the life expectancy of the dog, and we'll make a decision if we're going to pick up another dog or if we do away with the program. So that was one thought. And it's probably more realistically, but that we just priced it out for the car that the handler's in right now.
Okay.
And
How many miles are on this one? Do you know roughly?
I think he's pushing right around that 75 to 80,000, somewhere in there.
So if you're pushing them to 150, would it make it that 3-year window or not?
It'd be tight.
I mean, I like Jeff's suggestion of putting it into a vehicle, especially after you say that's the life of the dog or the use of the dog, and then we decide from there. Because if we go get another dog, and we have to do a vehicle at the same time, only makes sense. That's what I think, but I'm not the one running your organization, so.
But if we were to keep the dog and we go into another vehicle, the next round would probably be a lot cheaper because now we're ripping down the car, putting a cage in, and they're basically rebuilding it. Where a lot of the times we strip the cars and we just take the parts to them and they install them. So well, go ahead.
There's probably not really that big of a price change from the current car that the handler has to the newer ones. I mean, as far as
My understanding, there wouldn't be.
okay. And you said that what you had, let's see, third watch communication switch monitoring systems, the one that you're having him switch the bid to is actually cheaper from the
Yeah, if you look at theirs, let's see. They come in with their system at 2,275. The Ace K9 Hot and Pop Pro that Midwest put in is only 1,499. So that system's a little bit cheaper. That's what the handler is used to running. He's got all the apps and stuff for it set up in his phone, so it's just. And I did reach out to other sheriffs that use this third watch because I never knew they existed. They say they do good work, maybe a little slow at times. But the ones that have used them have been happy with the work. So
if you said you'd have to find some place for him to do the work. So that's on him, right? I mean, as far as travel or if he stays overnight or
yeah, it'd be on him.
that's on him.
We could probably find a spot, huh?
Yeah, search and rescue or something.
Okay.
But I emailed him yesterday and asked him if he would have something prepared for today with the different system. And I checked my emails before it came up, and he hasn't sent me anything yet. So, but when I talked to him on the phone, he was on the road doing installs. So I don't know if he didn't have time.
And timing would just be a matter of how soon the equipment could get
Yeah.
ordered and get here.
Yeah, for either one of them.
Okay.
And we do the ordering of the equipment.
No, they do.
Oh, they do.
You looking for a motion now?
Yeah.
I'll move that we accept the third watch bid contingent on the price for the other monitoring system comes in, I guess it doesn't matter. He's $3,000 short. So
Right.
I move we take the third watch.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion second to go ahead with third watch communications for the canine cage units for our patrol unit. Further discussion?
So is this going in the 2020 Durango then?
No, I'll move it up. I'll move it up to the newer car. The newest one we got in the fleet right now.
Okay. Anything else? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
That's all I had, unless you got something for me.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Moving up to unfinished business. Disbursement of ARPA funds to the Ramsey County Fair Board. How do we want to do that? Commission have time to think from our last meeting a couple weeks ago. Do we want to take it out of the ARPA money that we receive from the federal government? Or some other distribution methods?
I guess that was the intention of the last, the commission that voted on that. That would be taken out of the ARPA funds, I guess. I don't think it would be right not to follow those wishes. I guess that's what it was budgeted for.
Is that a motion?
I can make it a motion.
Okay,
So moved.
we have a motion. Do we have a second to utilize the ARPA funds for the Ramsey County Fair Board's new event center?
I'll second.
Okay,
So that money is gonna come out after that comes up though, right? We agreed on that last meeting,
after what comes up.
the CD, so that we don't get penalized.
Oh, I think talking with Lisa, I think it was released on the first.
Okay, just so that we don't get
So,
penalized.
Yeah.
No, that would be.
Yeah. So I think she made sure that that was available to us. So, yeah. So without any penalties and early withdrawals from a CD, should be good to go. Oh,
And this is for the down payment.
Nope. This would be our portion that we agreed on, right, Jeff?
right.
Yeah.
The $1 million. Right. And allowing them to utilize it for ordering their building materials.
So the way I understand it, they'd use that money. A lot of the grants we have, you have to spend the money in order to get the money. So I think that's how they're gonna
That's the way I understood it too.
roll
And
it.
they would they would work with Candy to make sure they had all the correct paperwork for Candy's documentation of that
Right.
COVID money. And that's what you would like, right, Candy?
Yeah.
That way, when the money's gone, we don't have to worry about Candy coming up with paperwork. I think when we disperse that money, they need to have that paperwork filled out prior. So she's not hunting them down. I think
Yeah.
it's only fair to keep.
No, absolutely, with anybody that got that money.
Well, and I think, it may be prudent to have Daniel or Bo or another member of the state's attorney's office just to double check, another set of eyes on that requirements for that ARPA funds, making sure that this does in fact fit into that category and situation. So we ourselves don't find ourselves in,
I agree.
yeah. So if you wouldn't mind, Daniel.
We can certainly do that.
Okay. I think it was pretty straightforward. Initially when they had that, it was a lot of hoops to jump through and steps to cross, and you can do it on this and do it on that. But then as they further got into it and finalized their OMB finalization through the Treasury, I think it was loosening up a lot of those restrictions and allowed for some of this to take place for community enhancements such as this facility would be.
And ahead of this meeting, I did look into that briefly, but I will look further into that just to make sure that there's no hidden provisions deep in whatever they're requiring, as the federal government is apt to do.
Okay. So with that, we have a motion on the table to go ahead and release those funds to the Ramsey County Fair Foundation, providing there's no hidden restrictions that our state's attorney's office can find. And that it meets all our I's and T's dotted and crossed kind of thing that the federal government's going to require of those funds being spent, and making sure that we fall within those timelines. Because I think there was a deadline for those funds to be obligated, spent, and documented. So further discussion on that.
Lee, what was how much, I probably missed it. What was the estimated cost of the building?
Like 3 million.
Of just the building?
No, that was a project.
That was the whole project.
Yeah.
3 million. Was it 80,000 or 3 million? I think it was 80,000 total.
It was just a tad over 3 million.
Yep.
So, and as the update that we had last week or last meeting from Paul Becker from the Ramsey County Fair Foundation, they had 1.8, including the $1 million from Ramsey County and pledges and donations to the Ramsey County Fair Foundation for that project. So they're well on their way to the $3.1 million needed for the completion of that project. And I think we've said it before, we'll say it again. I think it's a great project. Will benefit our community for generations to come, and they're well on their way. And as soon as people start seeing things in the ground and the project moving forward, I think donations will continue to come in for that. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Or would you prefer that as a roll call, Candy, since we're actually approving payment of? Want to do roll call?
Yes, please.
All right.
Volk,
Aye.
Hodis,
All right.
Wilhelmie.
Aye.
Gessner,
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to new business, approve of the abatement list. I think there's about 5 on there. Do them all at once.
Move to approve the abatements.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and approve the abatements as listed. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of postage machine 5-year lease. So we'll let Candy take over the discussion on the postage machine that's located in the courthouse in the auditor's office.
So I did a little bit of research between the two bids that were received, and we're not getting apples to apples. So in my recommendation, it would be to stick with the Dakota mailing. Because it would be an upgrade from what we currently have.
Candy, you know what the price of that is for that 5-year lease?
Do my math. 19,314. That's yearly. Oh no, that's 60. Yeah. 60 months. Yep.
So about 20 grand for
Yep.
a 5-year deal.
And it will be a little bit cheaper because he has a 15-pound scale. We don't need a 15-pound scale. We could maybe go 5, 10. So that will change it a little bit.
So what is this machine does the postage and everything?
Yes.
What okay.
Yes.
Every office has their own account on there, so they build their own postage. As it runs the envelope through, it'll weigh it, put the proper postage on it, and if you so choose, it'll seal the envelope for you, so you don't have to do that. And then it has a separate scale to do bigger envelopes or packages up to 5-10 pounds, depending on what Candy chooses. But
And then the mail picks it right up from us.
we
There's a drop.
there's a mailbox
on
in
the
front
corner.
is where everybody takes their own mail.
I'll make the motion to approve the machine that Candy would see to have.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead with the price quote from, was it Dakota? Dakota Mailing for the postage machine for a 5-year lease. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Discussion on Lake Region Law Enforcement Center Joint Powers Agreement. I think we have a final draft that, from my understanding, the attorneys all got together and worked out their differences, and we have a good document in front of us.
That is correct, Jeff. I did meet with Howard Swanson and Jack Yunker. We did all play nice at that meeting, and we were able to sort out the final few issues that still existed. I'm going to jump in order from subsection to subsection. First was 4.2 board membership. The last version that we addressed about a month ago included a longer subsection that delineated appointed commissioners versus elected commissioners. Howard Swanson, the LEC's legal representation, suggested that we just reduce that down to elected or appointed commissioners can serve on the LEC board. I don't see any issue with that. It just simplifies it and makes it to where any commission member is able to serve on that board, whether temporarily because the regularly appointed commissioner is unavailable or otherwise. The next change that was made, substantive change that was made, is in 6.1.1. That is the bills section, which I believe is most of where the contentious thoughts were at that time. This basically just makes reference to Article 15 of the agreement, which is the dispute resolution article. Basically, if they don't contest it within 30 days, then they basically waive that period. The individual members have to pay within 90 days, but they must contest within 30. The city wanted that to be a longer period, but 30 days is more than enough for any individual member to basically review their bills and submit their disagreement at that time. If there are issues, they can attempt to work that out without going through the process. But if they can't figure that out, then they will go through that dispute resolution process laid out in Article 15. The next section will be a few pages forward on Article 14, page 13. 14.1. The interest that will accrue on unpaid bills will be 18% per annum until paid. The city had some concerns about that. They did not want that to be accruing until after the dispute resolution process was finished. We felt that that was reasonable as long as they're participating in good faith and actually trying to work out the issue, as opposed to just any member is just not paying a bill and letting it languish, as it were. So the agreement that the three attorneys came up with was that as long as they enter that dispute resolution process, no interest will accrue during that time, and they must pay within 30 days of the end of the dispute resolution process, one way or the other. And that again makes specific reference to Article 15 so that they must follow that process. And finally, Article 15, basically just the only change to that article was 15.1 makes specific reference back to 6.1.1. It applies to the parties generally, but it specifically applies to 6.1.1, which is payment of bills, just to make sure that everybody is aware that these two articles and subsections relate to each other and must be followed in order to resolve those disputes. Otherwise, small changes to grammar and punctuation and other things like that. But this is what the city the city's attorney felt was reasonable. Howard Swanson felt that it was reasonable on behalf of the LEC board. So at this point, if you have any questions, I can attempt to answer those to the best of my abilities now. Otherwise, this will go to the LEC board. I believe it already has gone to those members so that they can take them to their respective commissions so that we can hopefully get this signed and ratified so that this can be put to rest finally, and the LEC can move forward with this new agreement in place.
So barring any changes from other counties or the city itself, this looks like a good document that we should go ahead and approve. Since we're not meeting again in the month of March, the other entities possibly will be. And so they do have maybe an opportunity to go ahead and look at this a little more in depth, although I think we've been discussing it for a couple of years, so they should have a pretty good handle on it. And like you said, the changes that took place are fairly minor. I don't see any of the other counties having a dispute with what was changed. So hopefully they can have those approved at their meetings today. Most of the other counties are meeting on today as well. City met last night. They did not take any action on it. But they do meet prior to the next LEC meeting, so they'll have an opportunity to go ahead and approve it at that time. I would certainly like us to go ahead and approve what has been changed and recommended based on our state's attorney's recommendations and the changes made.
I move to accept the joint powers agreement with LEC.
Second that motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to go ahead and approve the joint powers agreement with the Lake Region Law Enforcement Center and the entities involved. Further discussion.
I have one more addition, or at least point of information. The last page is obviously signature page. I just want to make sure, does the commission want this to be signed by the chairman, or would this be something presented to the LEC board, and the Ramsey County commissioner that is on that board would be able to sign this on behalf of Ramsey County, just so that that's clear and we don't have to sign that today. It can just be signed at the LEC's meeting.
One and the same.
Yep.
Very good.
So further discussion on the joint powers agreement. Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the joint powers agreement with the Law Enforcement Center and the four other entities signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And Daniel, thank you, and thank Bo and Mr. Yonkers and Mr. Swanson for coming together and getting this taken care of.
Will do.
Visitors and delegations? Nothing. Okay. Portfolio reports. Commissioner Volk. I know it's early in the month. Do you have anything?
The only thing I have is I wasn't at the lake access, but according to the emails, we will be using the same contractors for the summer cleaning of the sites and the boat landings. Other than that, I don't have anything else from my other portfolios.
Commissioner Hodis?
Well, it's not a portfolio, but I did meet with the committee yesterday up at the school for the referendum proposal coming forward. And it appears pretty well accepted by parties involved to look like a pretty good plan. Be something in the neighborhood of 28 to 29 million when they get done to do both the middle school and Prairie View. Otherwise, vote will be coming up in May. I don't just remember the date, but May was the month for.
Okay. Commissioner Wilhelmy?
I have nothing.
Okay. Commissioner Gessner?
About the only thing I got is we have one proposal for looking at the comprehensive plan that'll be distributed to the members, and we'll work around Candy's schedule to find a time to sit down and talk about it. That's all I've got that's out of the ordinary.
All right. I don't have a whole lot. Airport Authority, they're having their annual Aeronautics Commission's bank or convention down in Grand Forks this week. Started Sunday, goes through tonight is their awards banquet and Hall of Fame banquet tonight, and they send everybody home after that or tomorrow morning. But things are going good out at the airport, looking at a conclusion of the terminal coming up here, though, within the near future. I think everything is on track for completion on that. Continue to set boarding records on that, and look forward to providing some exciting new announcement on the airport following tonight's meeting down in Grand Forks. So I won't let the cat out of the bag prematurely. But townships, FEMA discussion, I think that's still going on. I think Daniel and Chris have been working really good together with coming up with all the different things that are going to be required moving forward for floodplain administration. We did set that deadline for March 25th, I believe, for the townships to respond back to that resolutions one way or the other. They need to decide on something, and then we can continue to move forward on that. According to the state, I think we're making good progress on everything, and they're pleased with how that's moving forward. We haven't heard hide nor hair from FEMA representatives since they were here in December, so which is always good. So, and I think there's I think some sort of a risk assessment tool initial kickoff meeting coming up here in Devils Lake sometime in March. I'm wanting to say like the 25th or 26th, somewhere in that timeline. That the state has contracted with a engineering firm out of Bismarck to help with their mapping, their risk assessments for if people were at that meeting with the townships. Laura Horner with the Department of Water Resources does their mapping and their risk assessment tool for their floodplain administration stuff. And so we're going to be the last of the basins to be done on that, but they're going to start those meetings off in, I think it's sometime in March. We'll update people on that because it's going to be a big meeting. They're going to bring representatives from all the areas within the Devils Lake Basin and for that meeting. So they're looking at somewhere into that 200 to 400 people capacity. So I think we're going to have that up at the auditorium. Not sure. The state has set the outlet advisory meeting coming up in April. I think that is going to be Tuesday, is it the 16th? Yes, Tuesday, the 16th of April, 1:00 at the Hofstad Ag Center will be the outlet advisory committee's meeting for the State Water Commission. State Outlet Advisory Commission, I guess. So, other than that, nothing. So,
I do got one comment.
Yep.
I've had several comment about the usage of the airport when they drive by and see the parking lot full.
Yep.
I really commend the airport and the group for doing a really good job.
Doing a really fantastic job. And I don't know if it was switching with a different media company that we switched out with and getting our word out to other locals, and continue to work with that group and promoting a new website and booking availabilities. And it's just been a fun ride. It really has. We surpassed that 8,000 employments last year, and so it bumped up a little bit in our funding from the federal government on those, on the essential air service. And if we hit 10,000, we get another increase in those funding as well. And I think we're well on the way for that as well. People are really liking the Devils Lake Airport. I think that new terminal expansion will only increase that enjoyment of flying out of Devils Lake when you can land and be in your bed within a half an hour instead of having to drive from one of the other major airport destinations. I think is a great plus for our community, and it's getting utilized. And there's free parking. Most other airports charge for leaving your car there, and so we have free parking, which is a fantastic opportunity for people. So thank you, appreciate that. Any other comments, discussions? For the good of the order, just a quick reminder that we will not be meeting again for our second meeting in March, as there is a county commissioner Conference in Bismarck, the 19th and 20th. So a few of us will be attending that. And if anybody else, I think they're still taking registrations for that. Good information being presented at that convention. So we will meet again on April 2nd is the first Tuesday of April. So have a great rest of the March. Meeting adjourned.